The restaurant was full that night. Soft music played. Waiters moved quietly between the tables. People smiled, laughed, and enjoyed their food. But at one corner table, a man sat alone. He wore a black suit, shiny shoes, and a gold watch. His face looked cold, like someone who had forgotten how to smile. His name was Mr. Rehan, a millionaire known in the city. Everyone in the restaurant knew who he was, but no one dared to talk to him. He was always alone. A big plate of steak and vegetables sat in front of him, but he had not taken even a single bite. He looked out the window, lost in thought. His eyes looked tired, not from work, but from something deeper, something painful. Just then, something small touched his arm. He turned quickly, surprised. It was a little boy, dirty face, thin body, wearing an old shirt full of holes. His eyes were wide and full of fear. He was about 8 or 9 years old. Mr. Rehan's guards moved forward, ready to push the boy away. But the boy looked straight into Mr. Rehan's eyes and whispered something that froze everyone. "Sir, my sister is dying. Please help." Silence. For a moment, no one spoke. The millionaire stared at the boy. His first thought was, "Is this a trick? Another poor kid asking for money?" He had seen many like this. Every day someone begged, some lied, some stole. But this time, something was different. The boy wasn't asking for money. He wasn't even crying. His voice was calm, too calm for a child in pain. His eyes, they were not begging. They were hoping. Mr. Rehan pushed his chair back. "Where are your parents?" he asked, his voice cold. "I don't have any," the boy said. "It's just me and my sister. She's very sick. She didn't wake up today. Please, sir, come." The manager came running. "Sir, I'm sorry. We'll remove this boy right now." But Mr. Rehan raised his hand. "No, wait." He stood up. People in the restaurant watched in surprise. Mr. Rehan never left his food. He never talked to strangers. And now he was walking. Out, following a poor child? He left his untouched meal and followed the boy outside. The night air was cold. The city lights were bright, but the streets were dark where the boy walked. Mr. Rehan hesitated for a second, then continued. He looked around. Tall buildings turned into broken houses. Clean roads changed into muddy paths. "Where are we going?" Mr. Rehan asked. "Home," the boy said simply. The rich man's shoes got dirty, his coat caught dust. But he didn't stop. He looked at the boy again. The child walked fast, barefoot, but didn't complain once. He didn't ask for money. He didn't beg. He just wanted to save his sister. After 10 minutes, they reached a small, broken house made of wood and old metal. The door was a curtain. The boy moved it aside and said softly, "Please come in." Inside, it was dark. One candle burned in the corner. A small girl lay on a torn mattress. She was very thin, her lips were dry. She looked no older than 6, her eyes were closed. She was breathing, but very slowly. "She didn't wake up today," the boy said, kneeling beside her. "She was coughing all night. We have no medicine." Mr. Rehan stood at the door, his heart beat faster. He had seen poor people before, but this felt different, too real. "Why didn't you take her to a hospital?" he asked. "I tried," the boy said. "But they said I need money. I have nothing." The millionaire slowly walked forward. He looked at the girl. She moved her head a little and opened her eyes. For a second, Mr. Rehan felt something hit his chest, like a memory. The girl looked at him and smiled weakly. "Are you an angel?" Mr. Rehan looked away. No one had called him that before. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. "I'll call an ambulance," he said. "She needs a doctor right now." The boy held his hand tightly. "Thank you, sir. I thought no one would listen." Mr. Rehan looked down at the boy's hand. It was small, rough, full of scratches. So different from his world, so different yet somehow familiar. He didn't know why he followed the boy. He didn't know what he was doing here. But deep inside, something told him. This was meant to happen. Something was changing. And it all began with a whisper. The ambulance came quickly. Its red lights flashed in the dark street. The small house, looked even smaller under those bright lights. Mr. Rehan stood beside the little boy, watching as the medical team picked up the sick girl and placed her carefully on a stretcher. She was barely moving. Her small hands looked like thin sticks. Her eyes stayed closed. The boy kept holding her hand. "She's going to be okay, right?" he asked the nurse. "We'll try our best," she replied softly. "But she's very weak." Mr. Rehan opened the back door of the ambulance and motioned to the boy. "Get in. I'll come with you." The boy looked surprised but nodded and climbed in. Mr. Rehan followed. The doors closed and the ambulance drove off into the city. Inside, there was silence. The only sound was the soft beep of a machine checking the girl's heart. Mr. Rehan looked at her pale face. He couldn't understand why this was hurting him so much. He had seen many sad things in life. He had helped people before, but always, from a distance, writing a check, sending a donation. This time he was inside the pain, sitting in an ambulance, holding a child's life in his hands. He looked at the boy. "What's your name?" "Ali," the boy answered. "My sister's name is Mina." "Where are your parents, Ali?" "They died," Ali said simply. "Mama got sick first. Then Papa left for work one day and never came back. People said he died in an accident." Mr. Rehan didn't know what to say. Ali continued. "I tried to take care of Mina. I cleaned cars, sold balloons, sometimes begged. She always smiled even when we had no food." Mr. Rehan felt something in his throat. He turned his face to the window, hiding his emotion. They reached the hospital. Nurses rushed Mina inside. Mr. Rehan stayed close, making sure no one stopped them. The hospital was busy. People were crying. Doctors were running. The smell of medicine filled the air. A nurse came to Mr. Rehan and said, "Sir, we need someone to sign these papers for emergency treatment. Also, the child has no ID. We can't admit her officially without payment." Mr. Rehan didn't think twice. He pulled out his pen and signed everything. "Charge it to me. Do whatever you must. Just save her." The nurse nodded and ran back. Ali sat on the cold bench, shaking. Mr. Rehan took off his coat and placed it on the boy. "Thank you, sir," Ali whispered. Mr. Rehan looked at him. "Why did you come to me, Ali, of all people?" "I saw you eating alone," Ali said. "You looked sad. I thought, maybe you would understand." Understand. That word hit hard. Nobody had looked at him like that in years. Not as a rich man, but as someone with feelings. Someone who knew pain. Ali had seen right through him. Mr. Rehan sat beside the boy and looked at the hospital door. He remembered a time long ago when he was not rich, not powerful, just a scared boy like Ali, holding his sister's hand in a dirty hospital. She had died, no one helped them, and that pain, he had buried it deep. Until tonight. A few hours passed. A doctor came out with a serious face. "She is stable for now, but she needs care. Her body is weak from hunger and sickness. If you had waited one more day, she might not have survived." Ali stood up. "Can I see her?" "Soon," the doctor said. "She's sleeping now." Ali sat back down, his eyes full of silent tears. Mr. Rehan walked outside for some air. The night was quiet now, far from the noise of the hospital. He took a deep breath and looked at the stars. Why did this happen? He thought. Why tonight? Why this boy? This girl? He looked at his phone. Dozens of missed calls from his office. Messages from his assistant. He was supposed to be at a meeting. Big deals. Big money. But none of that mattered now. He turned off the phone. He wasn't going anywhere. He returned to the hospital and saw Ali sleeping on the bench, his small head resting against the wall. Mr. Rehan took off his own jacket and placed it gently under Ali's head like a pillow. Then he sat down again, eyes open, waiting. Morning light slowly entered the windows. The city woke up. Cars moved. Birds sang. But inside the hospital, time felt slower. The doctor returned and said, "You can see her now." Ali woke up and ran to Mina's room. Mr. Rehan followed behind. Mina was awake. She smiled weakly when she saw her brother. "Ali," she said in a soft voice. Ali took her hand. "You're going to be okay now. He helped us." She looked at Mr. Rehan and smiled. "Thank you, Angel," she whispered again. Mr. Rehan felt something warm fall on his cheek, a tear. He had not cried in years, but that morning he did, and deep inside, he knew. His life was about to change forever. Mina lay quietly on the hospital bed. A soft machine beeped next to her, checking her heartbeat. The white bedsheet covered her thin body. Her eyes were half open, but her smile was warm. Ali sat beside her, holding her hand carefully like she might break if he held too tight. Mr. Rehan stood near the window. He had not left the hospital all night. He looked tired, but calm. Something inside him had changed, and he could feel it. Mina turned her head slowly and looked at him. "Sir," she whispered, "are you really rich?" Rehan gave a small smile. "Some people say I am." "Then why were you sitting alone in the restaurant?" she asked, her voice soft like a feather. That question hit him hard. He paused. His lips moved, but no words came out at first. Then he slowly replied, "Because sometimes money can't stop loneliness." Mina nodded like she understood something adults often didn't. She turned to Ali and smiled again. "You found a good man, brother." Ali looked at Rehan too. "He's not like the others." He stayed. Mr. Rehan sat on the chair beside Mina. He noticed a small drawing beside the bed, 2 stick figures, 1 boy, 1 girl, standing under a big heart. The drawing was made with a blue pen on the back of an old paper. "You drew this?" Rehan asked. Mina nodded. "I told Ali, 1, they will meet someone who will care." Rehan's throat felt tight. "Why me?" he asked quietly. "You looked lonely," she answered. "And lonely people are the kindest if you reach their heart." Silence filled the room. Then Mina coughed, a deep, painful sound. The nurse came running and gave her some medicine. Ali's face turned pale. "Is she okay?" "For now," the nurse replied, "but she needs rest." As she left, Mina looked at Rehan again. "Can you stay with me until I fall asleep?" she asked. "When you're here, I feel safe." Rehan had never heard such a request in years. People wanted his money, his time, his advice, but no one had asked him just to stay. He nodded. "Of course I'll stay." He sat there watching her slowly close her eyes. Her breathing was weak, but peaceful. He looked at Ali, who had curled up in the corner chair, eyes closing from tiredness. The boy had not eaten a proper meal in 2 days. Rehan whispered to himself, "What kind of world is this? Where children suffer like this?" He turned his head toward the window and thought about his past. Long ago, in a poor village, there was a boy just like Ali, and a girl just like Mina. That boy was him. He remembered his little sister's laugh, her dreams, her soft voice. She had fallen sick one winter. No money, no help. No one listened when he cried for help. He had begged outside shops. He had run to rich homes. No one answered. And one night she died in his arms. That pain had burned into his soul, and he had promised himself he would become rich. He would never feel helpless again. He did become rich, but he had also built a wall around his heart. A wall so high no one could enter, not even himself. Until now, until Ali and Mina. They had broken through that wall with nothing but honesty and hope. The next morning, a doctor came into the room. His face looked serious. "We need to talk," he said to Rehan. They stepped outside. "She's stable, but we found something else," the doctor said. "Her heart is weak. She has a condition. It's treatable, but only with surgery. And it must happen soon." "How soon?" Rehan asked. "Within a week." "Do it," Rehan said without hesitation. The doctor nodded. "It's expensive." "I don't care. Just save her." Inside the room, Mina woke up again. She saw Rehan standing by the door. "Thank you for staying." He walked to her bed and gently held her hand. She looked up at him and whispered, "I don't want to die, but if I do." Please don't leave Ali alone. Those words broke him. I won't, he promised, his voice shaking. I'll take care of him, and you're not going to die, not while I'm here. Mina smiled. Then I'll try to live. Ali came to the bed and sat beside her. He looked at Rehan. Do you believe in God, sir? Rehan looked down. I used to, but life made me stop. Ali held his sister's hand tightly. Maybe he sent us to you, so you could believe again. Mr. Rehan didn't reply. He just sat beside them, eyes full of emotion, heart full of memories. That day, he didn't go to any meetings. He didn't answer any business calls, because for the first time in many years, he had found something more important than money. He had found love. He had found a family, and in a hospital room full of pain and hope. The next few days moved slowly. Mina remained in the hospital. Nurses checked her every hour. The doctors were preparing for her heart surgery. They said it was risky, but possible. Ali stayed by her side the whole time. He didn't laugh. He didn't cry. He just sat quietly, holding her hand, whispering stories to her. Mr. Rehan never left them. He brought food. He paid for medicines. He even stayed overnight in the hospital lobby, using his coat as a pillow. Everyone in the hospital was shocked. People whispered, "Is that really Mr. Rehan, the cold millionaire?" They had only seen him in newspapers, business meetings, and TV interviews. But now they saw him feeding a sick girl and tucking a poor boy into bed. No cameras, no reporters, just a man with a heart. One morning, Ali asked something unexpected. "Sir, can I call you uncle?" Mr. Rehan paused. No one had called him that in years. His voice was soft. "Why would you want to call me that?" Ali smiled. "Because you care for us like one." Mr. Rehan gave a weak smile. "Okay, then I will be your uncle." Ali's eyes lit up. Later that day, as Mina rested, Rehan took Ali outside for a walk. They sat on a bench in the hospital garden. Trees moved gently in the wind. Birds chirped nearby. Ali looked at Rehan carefully. "Uncle, do you have a family?" Rehan looked away. That question cut deep. "No," he replied slowly. "I had a sister once. She died when we were very young. After that, I was alone." Ali stayed quiet. Then he asked, "Did it hurt?" Rehan's voice cracked. "Yes, every day." Ali looked down. "That's how I feel when I think about losing Mina." Rehan put his arm around the boy's shoulder. "You won't lose her. I won't let that happen." Ali leaned on him. For the first time, he felt like someone strong was standing beside him. Not just strong with money, but strong with love. Later, that evening, the hospital counselor came to Rehan. "Sir," she said gently, "have you thought about what will happen after Mina's surgery? Where will the children go?" Rehan was quiet. He hadn't thought that far. His focus had been on saving Mina. But the truth was, once she got better, they would have nowhere to go. No home, no parents, no future. "Can I take care of them?" he asked slowly. "I mean, like a guardian?" The counselor looked surprised. "Do you mean adoption?" Rehan nodded. "Yes, if they'll have me." "It's possible," she said, "but it takes time and a lot of paperwork." "I don't care," he said. "Start it. I want them safe. With me." That night, Rehan walked into Mina's room. She was awake and smiling. "Hi," she whispered. He sat beside her. "I want to ask you something." She looked curious. "If I become your and Ali's family, would that be okay?" Mina's eyes widened. "You mean like a papa?" Rehan's heart skipped a beat. He had never heard that word from a child's mouth in his whole life. He smiled. "Yes, like a papa." Mina held his hand. "Then I'll fight harder to live." The surgery day came. Rehan, dressed in hospital blue, waited outside the operation room. Ali sat beside him, crying silently. "She's strong," Rehan said, holding Ali's hand. "She's brave. She'll come back." Time moved slowly. 1 hour, 2, 3. Finally, the doctor came out. His face was tired but calm. "She made it," he said. Rehan and Ali both stood up. "She's sleeping now," the doctor added. "She needs rest, but the operation was a success." Ali cried openly, holding Rehan tight. "Thank you." "Papa." Rehan froze for a second. Then slowly, he hugged the boy back, not as a stranger, not as a helper, but as a father. That evening, Rehan went home, not to sleep but to prepare. His mansion, big and cold, was full of silent rooms and empty halls. For the first time, he saw how lifeless it really was. He called the staff. "Clean the guest room. No, make it a child's room. Toys, books, lights. And make another for a girl. Warm colors, soft bed." He called his lawyer. "I want to change. My will, add 2 names, Ali and Mina." He called the adoption center. "Start everything. I want this done the moment she's strong enough." The next day, he returned to the hospital with 2 things. For Ali, a small red bicycle. For Mina, a white teddy bear wearing a crown. Ali ran to him with joy. Mina smiled weakly and said, "You kept your promise." "Yes," Rehan said, sitting beside her. "Now you just need to get better." She looked at him and asked, "Do you think my real parents can see us from heaven?" "I think so," he said softly. "And I think they're proud of you." Mina touched his face gently. "Then I'm proud too." After 10 long days, Mina was finally allowed to leave the hospital. She still looked weak, but her smile was full of life. The doctors said she would recover slowly, as long as she had love, care, and rest. And now, she had all 3. Ali held her hand as they walked out of the hospital. Mr. Rehan was waiting outside with his black car, but this time it was not a ride to the hospital. It was a ride to their new home. Rehan helped Mina into the car gently. Then he looked at Ali and said, "Ready?" Ali nodded with a big smile. "Ready for our new life, Uncle. I mean, Papa." Rehan's heart felt warm. He never imagined someone calling him Papa. But now, he couldn't imagine life without hearing it again. When they reached Rehan's house, Mina looked out of the window and gasped. The big gates opened slowly, and behind them stood a huge white mansion surrounded by trees and flowers. "Is this a hotel?" she asked in shock. Rehan laughed. "No, Mina. This is your home now." Ali's mouth opened wide. "We're going to live here?" Rehan smiled. "Yes, come inside. I have something to show you." They walked through the big doors. The house smelled fresh and clean. The marble floors shined. But something had changed. Now soft music played from a speaker. Lights were warm, not cold. There were flowers in every room. Rehan turned to them. "Follow me." He opened the first door. It was Mina's new room. The walls were painted light pink. There was a big soft bed covered in a fluffy blanket. A small bookshelf stood in one corner, and on the bed sat the same white teddy bear he had given her at the hospital. Mina looked around with tears in her eyes. "Is this mine?" "Yes," Rehan said. "All yours." She ran and hugged him tightly. "You're the best papa in the world." He hugged her back and closed his eyes. Then he showed Ali his room. It had superhero posters, a study desk, a soccer ball, and a red and black bicycle parked outside the window. Ali jumped in excitement. "I love it." Rehan stood back and watched them with a smile. His house, once cold and empty, was now filled with joy. That evening, Rehan did something he hadn't done in 15 years. He cooked dinner. His personal chef offered to do it, but Rehan said no. "I want to make something myself," he said. Ali helped him cut vegetables. Mina sat at the table drawing pictures of their new family. Rehan made chicken soup and soft bread. It wasn't perfect, but it was made with love at AEO. The dinner table, Ali took the first spoon and said, "Wow, Papa, you're a great cook." Mina nodded. "Better than the hospital food." Rehan laughed. "I'll take that as a compliment." After dinner, they watched cartoons together on the big TV. Then Mina got sleepy, and Ali carried her to her room. Rehan followed and covered her with a blanket. "Good night, Mina," he said softly. "Good night, Papa." she whispered. Ali smiled and turned off the light. That night, Rehan sat alone in his study, but this time he didn't feel lonely. He looked at a photo on his desk, his younger self with his little sister. He whispered, "I couldn't save you, but maybe this is my chance to save someone else." He wiped a tear from his eye and walked to his room. Sleep came easily that night, for the first time in years. The next morning, Rehan got a call from his lawyer. "Sir, the adoption process is moving fast. Because of your name and support from the hospital, the papers might be ready in a few weeks." Rehan smiled. "That's the best news I've heard in years." Ali and Mina were already awake. Ali was riding his bike in the garden. Mina was feeding birds with crumbs of bread. The sound of their laughter filled the air. The neighbors peeked from their windows. They had never seen Mr. Rehan smile like this. They had never seen children in his house. Some even said, "He must have found peace." But peace doesn't last forever. That evening, as Rehan was helping Mina with her school drawing, a letter arrived. The servant handed it to him. Rehan opened it and read it slowly. His face changed. It was a legal notice. Someone had filed a claim, saying Ali and Mina were not orphans, and that someone else wanted custody. Rehan's hands trembled slightly. Who would do this? Why now? He folded the letter and looked at the children. They were smiling, laughing. They had no idea what storm was coming, but Rehan made a silent promise. "No one will take you away from me." The letter sat quietly on Mr. Rehan's desk, but its words screamed inside his head. Someone had filed a claim saying that Ali and Mina were not orphans, and now they wanted custody. It didn't make sense. 3. Children had told him their parents died 2 years ago. They had no family. They had lived on streets, slept in shelters, begged for food. So who was claiming them now? Rehan sat in silence, holding the letter tightly. His heart felt heavy. He had just built a new life for them. A home full of love, laughter, safety. Now a stranger wanted to take it all away. The next morning, Rehan called his lawyer immediately. "I need to know everything about this case," he said. His lawyer sounded concerned. "We're checking, sir, but this person claims to be their uncle. He says he has proof of family connection." Rehan clenched his jaw. Where was this man when Mina was dying? When Ali was begging for help? The lawyer replied, "We'll fight this. But if he is a blood relative, the court may give him a chance." Rehan stood at the window. Outside, Ali and Mina were playing with a kite. He had never felt fear like this before, not even in business, not even in failure. This was different. This was family. That evening, Rehan sat with the children in the living room. He tried to stay calm, but they noticed something was wrong. Mina asked, "Papa, why do you look sad?" Rehan forced a smile. "I'm just thinking." Ali came closer. "Is someone trying to take us away?" Rehan looked up, shocked. "How do you know?" Ali held up the letter. "I saw this on your desk." Rehan sighed deeply. "I don't want to lie to you," he said. "Someone is claiming to be your uncle. He wants to take you both." Mina's face turned pale. "But we don't even know him." "Exactly," Rehan said. "I'll fight this. I won't let anyone take you." Ali nodded slowly. "We trust you, Papa." Rehan hugged them both tightly. "No matter what happens, you will always have me." The next day, Rehan went to meet the man who filed the claim. His name was Salman, a short man with sharp eyes and a fake smile. He sat in a cheap lawyer's office, acting like a kind relative. "I'm just here for my niece and nephew," Salman said sweetly. "Family must stay together." Rehan's voice was cold. "Where were you when they were starving? When Mina almost died?" Salman shrugged. "I didn't know, now I do." Rehan looked him in the eye. "You don't want to raise them. You want money." Salman laughed lightly. "You're the millionaire. If I raise the kids, maybe you'll support us." "That sounds fair, doesn't it?" Rehan stood up. "You won't touch them." Salman leaned back. "We'll see what the judge says." The court hearing was set for the following week. Rehan hired the best lawyer in the city. He gathered every document, Hospital records, photos, witness letters from doctors and neighbors. He even prepared a video. In it, Mina softly said, "I want to stay with Papa Rehan. He saved my life." Ali added, "We were alone. Now we have a family. Please don't take it away." On the day of the court hearing, the room was quiet and serious. Rehan sat on one side, Ali and Mina beside him, holding his hands. On the other side sat Salman, fake tears in his eyes. The judge looked at both sides. Then he asked, "Why do you want custody, Mr. Salman?" Salman replied, "They are my blood. It is my duty. I have a small house, a job. I can take care of them." Rehan's lawyer stood up. This man had no contact with the children for 2 years. He came only after hearing Mr. Rehan is adopting them. The judge turned to the children. "Mina, do you know this man?" She shook her head. "No, sir." "Ali?" "No, sir. He never helped us. Papa Rehan did." The judge looked at Rehan. "Why do you want to adopt them?" Rehan stood slowly. "Because they gave me something I didn't know I was missing. Love. Family. They saved me as much as I saved them." The judge looked at the papers again. Minutes passed like hours. Then finally he spoke. "The children are happy, safe, and loved with Mr. Rehan. Blood is important, but care is more important." He turned to Salman. "Your claim is rejected. You may not contact the children again." Mina gasped. Ali grabbed Rehan's arm tightly. The judge looked at Rehan. "You may continue the adoption process. And thank you for giving these children home." Rehan felt his legs weaken from relief. The battle was over. He had won. Outside the courtroom, Mina hugged Rehan tightly. "Thank you, Papa," Ali whispered. "We're yours forever now." Rehan held back tears. "No, I'm yours. Forever." They walked out hand in hand into the sunlight. The storm had passed, but one final chapter was yet to be written. Weeks had passed since the court hearing. The house was peaceful again. Laughter echoed in every room. The garden was full of life. Mina's health was improving day by day. Her cheeks had color again. Her smile returned. Ali was studying in a good school and coming home with stories, jokes, and drawings, but something still remained, something unfinished. The adoption papers. One morning, Rehan got a call from his lawyer. "Sir," the lawyer said, "the adoption is final. You are now their legal father." Rehan didn't speak for a few seconds. His hand trembled as he held the phone. "Thank you," he finally whispered, his voice full of emotion. "Thank you so much." That evening, Rehan came home with a surprise. He called Ali and Mina into the living room. He was holding a small, white envelope. "What's inside?" Mina asked, curious. Rehan smiled and handed it to them. Ali opened it slowly. Inside were 2 new documents, birth certificates, and in the space that once said father was now written, Rehan Ahmed. Mina looked up, her eyes shining. "It's real? We're your children now." Rehan nodded, tears in his eyes. "Forever and always." Ali jumped to his arms. "I love you, Papa." "I love you both," Rehan said, hugging them tightly. More than anything in this world. Days turned into weeks, and the little family started doing things Rehan never thought he would enjoy. They had movie nights with popcorn and blankets. They painted the walls of their rooms together. They made pancakes on Sunday mornings, even if they were a little burnt. Rehan started going to Ali's school events. Mina's bedroom wall filled with her drawings. Some of them showed 3 stick figures holding hands, smiling under the sun. Rehan kept one of those drawings on his desk. He looked at it every day before starting work. But one evening, something special happened. It was raining outside. Ali and Mina were in the living room, building a castle from pillows. Rehan was sitting on the couch watching them quietly. Mina suddenly turned to him and said, "Papa, do you ever miss anyone?" Rehan's smile faded slightly. "Yes, I had sister. She was small like you. I lost her many years ago. Mina walked to him and sat in his lap. "I think she sent us to you," she whispered, "so you wouldn't be alone anymore." Rehan hugged her, closing his eyes. "Maybe you're right. Maybe that was her final gift to me." Ali came and joined the hug. "And maybe you were sent to us." A few days later, Rehan took them to visit a small park where he used to go. As a child, he sat on a bench and told them stories about his sister, how they used to run and laugh together. Mina said, "Can we call her our angel?" "Yes," Rehan replied softly. "She's our angel." Ali looked up at the sky. "Thank you, angel." Months passed. Then a year. It was the anniversary of the day Rehan first met Ali, the night of that lonely dinner. Rehan took both kids to the same restaurant. They dressed nicely. Mina wore a pink dress. Ali wore a little suit. They sat at the same table where it all began. The waiter came and smiled. "Good to see you again, sir. You're not alone tonight." Rehan looked at Ali and Mina. "No." He replied, smiling, "I'm not alone anymore." They ordered their food and laughed together. The people around them watched with warm eyes. Nobody could tell how this family came together, but it felt real. It was real. When they reached home that night, Rehan tucked them into bed. Mina yawned. "Papa." "Yes, sweetie?" "Thank you for not ignoring Ali that day." Rehan's throat tightened. He smiled. "Thank you for whispering those words that changed my life." Ali smiled too. Sometimes, miracles start with just a whisper. Rehan kissed their foreheads. "Yes," he said. "And sometimes, in the smallest voices speak the loudest to our hearts." Later that night, Rehan sat in his study writing something. He titled the page, "How a Whisper Saved My Soul." He planned to turn it into a book someday. Or maybe a letter to be read by Mina and Ali when they grew up. He looked at their drawing on his desk again. 3 figures under the sun, and next to it, written in a child's hand, "Home is not where you live, it's where you are loved." Rehan smiled. He had wealth, power, and everything money could buy, but only now, after all these years, he finally had what he truly needed. The grand wedding hall sparkled with crystal chandeliers and perfectly arranged white roses. Guests filled the seats, their whispers mixing with the soft notes of the piano. Alex, the millionaire groom, stood confidently at the altar, his dark eyes fixed on the double doors at the end of the aisle. His tailored suit clung perfectly to his muscular frame, a reflection of the disciplined life he had built for himself after his bitter breakup with Sarah. Years ago, Sarah had shattered his heart, leaving him in pieces. She had walked away when he was a struggling dreamer, a man with big ideas but little money. The pain of that loss had fueled his rise to the top, transforming him into one of the most successful entrepreneurs in the city. Today, he wasn't just celebrating his wedding, he was proving a point. Lisa, his fiancée, was perfect on paper. She was beautiful, smart, and came from a respected family. Everything his mother had ever dreamed of for him. Yet, as the wedding approached, Alex's mind often drifted back to Sarah. It was as if her ghost haunted every corner of his thoughts, whispering doubts into his mind. He had convinced himself that inviting Sarah to the wedding would be the final proof that he had moved on. It would be his silent victory, his way of saying, "Look at what you gave up." "Are you nervous?" His best man, Jake, leaned in, adjusting his cufflinks. Jake had been his closest friend since their college days, the one who had seen Alex at his lowest after Sarah walked out. Alex chuckled, his eyes still on the doors. "Nervous? No. Just excited to show her what she missed." Jake smirked, clapping. "Him on the back? Well, if she even shows up." Alex's jaw tightened. He had made sure Sarah got the invitation, personally handing it to her through a mutual friend. He imagined her opening that envelope, her eyes widening at the gold-embossed letters, the address of the grandest venue in the city staring back at her. He pictured her regretting every choice she made, every step that took her away from him. "Wait till she sees what she missed out on," Alex whispered, his voice low but sharp as the wedding march began to play. The gentle hum of whispers filled the grand hall as the double doors slowly creaked open. Heads turned, eyes narrowed, and breaths caught in anticipation. Outside, a sleek black car had just pulled up to the entrance, its polished surface reflecting the late afternoon sun. The driver stepped out first, moving swiftly to open the rear door. A delicate, heeled foot emerged, followed by the graceful figure of a woman wrapped in a stunning, deep emerald gown that flowed around her like a whisper of the past. Sarah had arrived. She stepped into the grand hallway, her head held high, her eyes scanning the crowd with a mixture of confidence and nostalgia. Her hair, cascading in soft waves over her shoulders, framed a face that had matured beautifully over the years. She paused for a moment, her gaze catching the tall, muscular figure at the altar. Alex. The whispers grew louder. Guests leaned, in closer to each other, their curiosity sparked by the unexpected entrance. Some recognized her immediately, their faces lighting up with surprise and confusion. Others, less familiar with the history, simply marveled at the striking woman who had just stepped into their midst. As Sarah took her first steps down the aisle, the two small children beside her clung tightly to her hands. They looked around, with wide, curious eyes, their features a mirror of someone standing just a few steps away. The resemblance was impossible to miss, the same sharp jawline, the same intense dark eyes. Alex felt his heart jolt, his fingers tightening around the edge of the podium. His mind raced with 1,000 questions, but he forced his expression to remain neutral. He had dreamed of this moment, imagined Sarah walking in to see his success, but this was different. Jake, standing beside him, leaned in, his voice a harsh whisper. "Dude, is that Sarah? And those kids? Do they look like you?" Alex didn't respond. He couldn't. His pulse thudded loudly in his ears, drowning out the soft music that played in the background. For a moment, he felt the ground beneath him shift, the same unsettling feeling he had experienced all those years ago when she had left him without warning. As Sarah reached the front of the room, she paused, her eyes locking onto Alex's. A hint of a smile touched her lips, a silent acknowledgement of the chaos her presence had just stirred. She then moved to a seat near the front, settling her children beside her, their small, eager faces still fixed on the grand, unfamiliar scene around them. The ceremony began, but Alex's mind was miles away. As the soft hum of the piano filled the room, he felt his heart pounding against his chest. He tried to focus on Lisa, who was slowly walking down the aisle, her radiant smile aimed directly at him. But every time he glanced towards the front row, his eyes locked onto Sarah, sitting with those two children. His children? No, it couldn't be. Could it? As the ceremony progressed, Alex felt his control slipping. His mind kept drifting back to Sarah and those two children. They were sitting just a few feet away, but their presence felt like a storm on the horizon, growing closer with every second. The officiant's words became a distant echo, his own vows sounding hollow in his ears. The moment the officiant said, "If anyone here knows a reason these two should not be joined in marriage, speak now or forever hold your peace," Alex felt his heart stop. He held his breath, his eyes darting to Sarah, expecting her to rise, to speak, to reveal whatever secret she had been hiding. The room fell into a tense, breathless silence. Alex's pulse thudded in his ears as his eyes locked with Sarah's. She sat still, her lips pressed into a thin, determined line. She made no move to stand, no whisper of protest escaped her. Instead, her gaze flicked to the two children beside her. One of them, the boy, tilted his head, his dark eyes that mirrored Alex's, meeting his gaze for a fleeting, heart-stopping second. As the silence stretched on, Alex felt the weight of 1,000 unspoken words hanging in the air. His heart raced as memories of his past with Sarah flooded back. The late nights, the whispered promises, the bitter goodbye. It all suddenly made sense. He realized that the truth had been hidden in plain sight, wrapped in the innocent eyes of the children staring back at him.